Our top story this hour, U.S. President Barack Obama is making his call for health care reform yet again, this time in Pennsylvania. His task today, targeting insurance companies and the high premiums they charge to try to rally public support. President Obama is hoping to drive home the message that the United States needs reform, and it needs it now. Joining me now is author and activist David Swanson. David, let's talk about this. We have been hearing about this issue basically for the entire Obama presidency. We're hearing terms now like the end is near and the final push. Is this really the final push?
I suspect so. I suspect they are either going to pass something that they will try to plausibly call healthcare reform, or they will not pass anything. In either case, I think they will leave the issue of healthcare alone for quite a while after that.
And you know, we were talking a little bit about this before, but healthcare itself, what candidate Obama probably envisioned when he was on the campaign trail versus what the two bills, the House bill, the Senate bill, and what healthcare may become. How different are these?
Well, he was never, except back when he was a state senator, he was never as a presidential candidate for a real solution of single-payer health care for everyone, get rid of the insurance companies and the waste and so forth, which I support and many Americans support. But he did make promises for reforms that he's dropped by the wayside. And of course, the famous and much discussed public option, which in its final form had devolved into something privately controlled with the prices set by corporations and the president promising it would reach fewer than 5% of Americans. That's gone. There are good things left in the bill, but taking the bill as a whole, as something that's going to create 30 million more customers forced to be customers of the private insurance companies, giving them another $400 billion or so, and them being able to take a chunk of that and give it to Congress members, is going to mean entrenching the current system. It's going to mean healthcare continuing to get worse, and it's going to make it that much harder to do anything at the federal level from here on out.
And let's talk about that. You say at the federal level, and the health care that we're talking about right now is sort of a federal government plan. Is this the best idea, or are we missing something here?
Well, it would be ideal for Congress to create a civilized health care plan like many wealthy countries have, where everybody gets it and it's single payer and we reduce the costs and so forth. That's not going to happen anytime soon, was clearly never going to happen this year. And there are state legislatures in this country making it happen at the state level, which is how Canada did it. They had a couple provinces do it, and then the nation was compelled to do it. California has passed single-payer health care twice, and a third time in the Senate. They just need a governor who won't veto it, and they may get one this year. Pennsylvania, it looks like they may pass it, and they have a governor who swears he will sign it. And there are a dozen states that look like they're moving credibly toward creating a real healthcare solution. So one big question, if they do pass something now in Congress, is what language will be in there to allow or to try to forbid states from doing something better.
I don't think that anyone would argue against me when I say that healthcare has been a very large weight on the president's shoulders. Why is he still in this fight? Why hasn't he given up, or as the Republicans have called him to do, go back to starting from scratch?
Well, I think politically he would have been smart to go with a single-payer solution that would have been very simple. Expand Medicare. If not for everyone, expand it for more Americans gradually. Take it down to 55, 50, 40. Give it to young people so they're part of the game. But instead, he's taken this approach of compromise, compromise, compromise until there's almost nothing left, which was his position from the start. We need to pass something, anything that we can call health care reform. And it's become unpopular from all sides of the political spectrum, and he's pushing Congress members to campaign on it while he doesn't have to get reelected anytime soon, and they're seeing the danger there. It's becoming less and less likely that anything's going to pass, and yet it's become this question of the president's success or failure, whether they pass anything.
Yeah, but President Obama has said, you know, he wanted to work with both sides of the aisle. Governing successfully doesn't always mean getting exactly what you want. It means building a plan with a compromise. Don't you think that, you know, even though, yes, it's been scaled back and lots of compromises been made, wouldn't that be even more of a success story?
Well, there's not a single Republican in either house ever likely to support a health care bill. Never was and never will be anytime soon. And they weren't needed. We voted them out of power. We gave the Democrats complete control in the House, in the Senate, and the White House. So to choose to do nothing with that power and to talk about compromise with the party that's been voted out of power and in the end to not get anything done is a strange sort of vision of wise governing. They'll use the filibuster excuse, but the filibuster rule wouldn't be there if they didn't choose to leave it there.
All right, author and activist David Swanson, thanks so much for joining us, a discussion that we will be having for many more weeks to come, I suspect.